When I'm training for professional competitions, men and women always ask me for advice. To women, I say push yourself harder than you ever have before and go beyond your comfort zone. Focus on your goals. Men, if I am willing to push myself to become Mr. Olympia in 2022, then I only have one thing to say to you. Bring your A game.
Here we go again.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hello everyone, how are we doing at the start of the week? Hoping everybody's good. Hope everybody's doing well. Because we gonna unpack this. We're gonna unpack this. It's a lot to talk about today. Because the media world, sports, news, blah, 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 is in a tizzy and an uproar about Ime Udoka and who he slept with and who he didn't sleep with and when he slept with them and all of this other stuff, which is really none of the public's business. It's not our business. The Boston Celtics leaked that out, but that wasn't nobody's business. They could have handled that in-house. But they didn't. And news media, whether it was sports media, regular media, and all of that type of stuff, everybody ran with, we just keeping up with the tea. The so-called tea. About this man, basically his personal business. Because if they hadn't never said nothing, wasn't nobody gonna dig for it. Because then nobody cared. But what ESPN and all these other news, sports news channel and sports center and all of this other stuff, nobody's talking about good old Brett Favre, who is implicated along with others, not to mention the ex-WWF wrestler Ted DiBiase and his son, along with other individuals, all of them Dwight McManus, embezzling money, stealing money, millions of dollars from welfare in Mississippi, one of the poorest states that has a water crisis going on right now. Right now, they are having a water crisis that nobody wants to talk about, just like they hushed it up with Flint, Michigan. It was all hush, hush. Yes, Ted DiBiase, the $1 million man, that Ted DiBiase. If you are old wrestling fan, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Thank you, Theo Johnson, for the contribution. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Theo. So nobody wants to talk about the Jackson, Mississippi water crisis, and the fact that you have these very wealthy people already, they are independently wealthy, but they're not using their money. They're not going to banks getting loans. They've decided that the best money to go and get was welfare money. Money that was earmarked to go to TANF, the TANF program in Mississippi. And we know that Mississippi has a high percentage of black people. So these are the individuals that decided, let's steal money from the poor, the people who are already impoverished, the people who already are living below the poverty line, people who are, you know what I'm saying, they already struggling. Brett Favre ain't hurting for no money. He get paid for appearances. He get paid for all types of stuff. Him being retired ain't stopped no check. He just don't get a check cut from the NFL necessarily. Or he might, who knows? But because he's a Dwight McManus Hall of Fame, you know, and I can't, even though I was a Bears fan, I kind of like Brett Favre as a quarterback. I ain't know nothing about him personally. I didn't want to know nothing about him personally. Just strictly his NFL career. But now we see exactly what kind of person he is, along with everybody else that was involved in the scam. And Miss Nancy knew who was facilitating everybody. But yet we got media that's so busy in Ime Udoka's bedroom, as if anybody needs to have that blasted all over Twitter and all over ESPN and all over anywhere. It's not even important. It is not important. And the reason why I'm saying black women can't fall for it is because we as women have to stop falling for stuff just because it involves a black man. Because everybody likes Neil Long or whatever, and he's cheating, and cheating is supposed to be this big deal in the gynocracy. So gynocrats hate cheating, you know, that this is some sort of, you know, national crisis. Thank you, Norin. Thank you, Real Bravado Network. Let's play these clips. Please, everybody, give Norin a round of applause because he comes through consistently to support this channel. Consistently to support this channel. Thank you, Real Bravado Network. So he gets around $750,000 a year from his NFL retirement account. I figured he might have some type of retirement account. Thank you for that. Greatness 81 says a black Democrat is mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, which is the location of the water crisis. Not a good look politically before the midterms. Exactly. Because we're going to go over a couple of timelines. Right? Because they want to cover Ime Udoka and drag him at the same time. And this will get black women more or less involved because it'll prove, see, You know, how these men do when they get up in there and they get money and blah, 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 blah. This is how they do black women and yada, yada, yada. They'll get you wrapped up in that emotional screed about how black men are always cheating and they always going after white women and blah, 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 blah. See, they know how to twist the narrative around. They know how to put certain things in front of us and really escalate and really, you know what I'm saying, drive the point home. Everywhere you turn, there's a new report, there's a new leak, there's a new plot twist, there's a new piece of information, there's a new piece of something to everybody to dig their teeth into, you know, so we can talk about it. And then, you know, we can have all kind of opinions. You got Malika Andrews trying to shut down black men on their platforms, all because they're trying to say, why is this woman being protected? So you got this feminist sitting up, you know what I'm saying, challenging everybody and got something slick to say and smart to say in defense of a feminist agenda to help spread these narratives and really embed these narratives in our mind, which distracts us from the real issues that are happening around this country. One of which is heavily affecting a black community, which is in Jackson, Mississippi, where the water crisis is currently happening. And it was something that was bound to happen. It was waiting to happen because they failed and neglected to repair the infrastructure there. Knew that those water plants was a problem. And nobody wanted to put the funding and the work in to make sure that it was up to par, so that a storm and a natural disaster would not be the cause of its complete failure. And then they still haven't gotten it. They still have not gotten it together. Boil water. Have you seen the color of that water? It is nearly black. It is not a boiler in the world that'll make you want to drink that water or put that water on your body or put that water on your private parts to wash or put that water anywhere, because it is completely not potable and it is inconsumable. And everybody know that. Ain't nobody trying to drink no brown, almost black colored water coming out your faucet. And you don't want it touching you, and it's got to stink. Thank you once again, Norrin. Thank you once again, sweetheart. I tried to. We got to give him another round, y'all. We have to. Please do. Please do. I was trying to find something that was sort of specific for you, Norrin, but everything that I found so far kind of fell flat. This ain't unique enough. It's the same like little, applauses and stuff. So I'm gonna find something special. Thank you everyone for that round of applause for Norrin, because he is so consistent with the support of this channel, and I cannot express enough how thankful and how grateful and how appreciative I am of that giving that he does. And that everyone does, because I know this is people's hard-earned money that they can do whatever they want with. And they do not have to come here to the Crimson Cure channel to give anything here. And I am greatly, greatly humbled and appreciative of it, Norrin. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of the hearts of my support team and everyone. We really, really want to thank you. But getting back to what we talking about with the Brett Favre. So let me, I'm going to do a little bit of timeline so that everybody can get caught up with just exactly what the scandal is with Brett Favre. Because I know that a lot of people in the chat have heard of it, but you don't got any details about it. So what I want to do is read off a quick timeline, sort of get everybody up to speed. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen actually, so you can read along with me. We doing read alongs. Okay. The timeline for Brett Favre. Hopefully you guys are able to see this. I be wanting y'all to be able to see this. That's what I be wanting. I'm trying to make sure y'all can kind of read along with me a little bit. I know it might be a little bit tough. Let me try to make it just a little bit bigger. Okay. So this is a timeline of Brett Favre's involvement in the Mississippi welfare fraud scheme. Okay. The Mississippi fraud and embezzlement scheme, in which $77 million was funneled away from a program for needy families into other ventures, is the biggest public fraud case in the state's history. Celebrated former Packers quarterback and Mississippi native, Brett Favre has not been charged with a crime, but he's a prominent player in the story. The saga includes former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant, who also has not been criminally charged. Text messages unearthed earlier this week cast doubt on the idea that Bryant and Favre were unaware of the illegality involved in some of their maneuvers. The scandal centers around federal money from the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, so TANF, fund distributed as block grants to each of the 50 states. It potentially dates back to 2016 when Human Services Executive John Davis began directing multi-million-dollar lump sum payments to the Mississippi Community Education Center, a nonprofit that theoretically would then determine how the TANF money could be used. See how they start in with to create all of these middlemen to siphon that money through? Davis did not make director Nancy New report how she spent the money. So to not even require her to make it transparent where this money is going. So it can go anywhere. It can literally go anywhere. So let's go into the timeline. July 2017, Favre first meets with officials about funding volleyball facility for Southern Mississippi. Now, this is where his daughter go. Brett Favre interested in helping to fund a new volleyball facility for his alma mater, his alma mater at the University of Southern Mississippi, first asked for funding from the Mississippi Department of Human Services during a meeting on campus. Favre's daughter, Braylee, ultimately played both indoor and beach volleyball at the school. So this is where the interest is coming from for him. Thank you, Greatness 81 again said water in Jackson, Mississippi is as bad as a third world nation. The media won't report on it because it looks bad for the Dems. Dems gonna lose more black men votes. Exactly. Okay, so among those in attendance were members of the USM athletic staff, DHS Director John Davis, and Nancy New, the executive for nonprofit organization Mississippi Community Education Center. In August of 2017, texts which were unearthed in 2022 suggest that Favre knew this could cause bad publicity. Favre sends a text to New asking, if you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much? Now, this is significant because Brett Favre was trying to do damage control when the story first started breaking about how he didn't know where the funds came from and if he had a new blah, 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 blah. And this is why the text messages are actually so important, because it proves that he actually knew exactly where that money was coming from and he was down with it from the beginning. So it said, if you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out about where it came from and how much? Followed by a reassurance from Nancy New that those things would not be made public, and a day later that Governor Phil Bryant is on board. The message came to light September the 13th, 2022. So these is all these ones right here. See what I'm saying? They all be in bed together, just grifting money, just stealing money. And then they want, let me come back for a second. Let me come back for a quick second before I finish this timeline up. Because that's the part that get me. They sit there and steal all of this money out from under black people's nose, out from under the impoverished people's nose, out from under them. And then turn around and tell you that in order for you to make it, you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and work harder. As if this is how they got their wealth. By working hard and just putting their nose to the grindstone and being honest. Like, ain't nobody stupid. This is how that they maintain the wealth in this country. Because they find ways to set it up like it's legitimate business. And they just running corporations and they just running business and they just, they just making money. Like, just making money. Y'all get on the good foot with the money then. Y'all broke because y'all lazy. Y'all broke because y'all stupid. Y'all broke because you don't pay attention. Y'all broke because you don't go to school. Y'all broke because, you inherently predisposed to crime. You broke because you inherently predisposed to just, not being able to think. That's what they tell us about us. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, go on, get off of welfare, so you can have something. You just want to lay up on the system and have the system paying for you. But you stealing from that same system. Every time you turn around, it's some type of scandal done broke out about how this group connected with this politician, connected with this non-for-profit, connected with this organization and that organization, only for it to come out that all of them together are embezzling hundreds of millions of dollars. And then you want to have PC people don't want to have no empathy for the people of Jackson about the water crisis. They should have just fixed it. They should have just, and I don't know why they're crying about it now. Shut up. Ain't nobody asked you about your opinion. Nobody asked you nothing. Boop, knock it off. Nobody asked you no questions. Since it ain't that bad, you go to Jackson and drink the water. And they able to turn their nose up and turn their back on it because it's not happening to them. And it ain't happening to their community. So they could give two shorts and curlies about what happened in Jackson and what happened in Flint. But they want to push in our faces what's going on with Ime Udoka. Don't nobody care who he sleep with. I could have went all the rest of my life without knowing that information. Okay? I mind the business that pay me. And minding Ime Udoka's bedroom business don't do nothing for me. And it don't do nothing for you. And it don't do nothing for nobody else. And they just want to have us completely distracted. Oh, we can't really talk about Brett Favre. We ain't really covering it because, he not an active NFL player. Man, that's BS too. They can knock that off. Knock that off as well. Don't nobody care about him being a current player or not. That don't have nothing to do with the fact that he's in bed with a group of thieves. I'm not even going to call it embezzling because that's their little cute little word when they don't want to say they thieving and stealing. When black folk doing it, we stealing. When they doing it, it's embezzlement. We ain't playing them semantics and word games. You want to have these little cute little words that mean the same thing, but it's supposed to strike your subconscious differently. Now we got to try to find excuses as to why Brett Favre would be stealing money from the TANF program to help build a volleyball station or stadium where his daughter play. Don't nobody even like volleyball. When the last time anybody watched a volleyball tournament? But they still want to drag Michael Vick for some dogs that he basically took the fall for, because you can't tell me he was personally there doing that kind of stuff because he had a whole NFL career he was doing. So when he had time for that? And they drug him and continue to drag him. They don't like T.O. Anybody black that's been playing in the NFL, NBA, whatever, that do something, they got to broadcast it everywhere and talk about it for 3 weeks and 4 weeks and 2 months and 6 months. They got to keep dragging it. Meanwhile, they sweeping Brett Favre stuff under the rug. Ain't nobody supposed to talk about him. I don't care what kind of football he threw. They ain't talking about canceling him. They ain't talking about taking that bust out of Canton. They ain't talking about marring his NFL legacy. They ain't talking about putting an asterisk behind that. Like, yeah, he threw X amount of touchdowns and, he won this thing and won that MVP award and won. Yeah, but he's a thief. He a no good thief. Thank you, Amina. Said, man, you speaking facts. Mike took the fall. Yeah, Mike took that fall. Anybody that was watching that story unfold. Anyway, we're going to get back to the timeline for Brett Favre. And then we're going to finish cooking him and the protection. But after these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey guys, this is Spanky Hayes, and I want to say something, whether it's comedy, acting, or just in general real life. I use my A game. I gotta have the A game. I pack it in every pocket. I got one pill in every pocket. And every pair of pants I got. Listen, entertaining y'all is hard sometimes. I gotta fly to Dallas, then to Denver, then to New York, then to LA, then to Detroit. Come on, man. That tires me out. I just take the A game now. I don't have that problem no more. I usually barely don't sleep because I'm entertaining y'all. I'm in the studio all night with the A game. And trust me, when I come home from the studio, my woman gets to feel the real pleasure of the A game. You see, I'm smiling. Watch this. Hey, baby.
Hey, babe.
Guess what I just took? A game, A game, A game, A game. I'm gonna meet you upstairs, all right?
Oh, okay. Welcome back. Welcome back. When I tell you how she threw that broom down, thank you once again, Norrin, for your greatly appreciated contributions. When I say she threw that broom down, fellas, if you want your woman to throw her broom down, if you want her to throw the vacuum across the way and run to the room, all you got to do is get on your A game so she can do that. She'll be ready. She know what it means. She know what it is. And what it really means is more than that. Because A game is something that men, will take for their overall health. It helps the blood flow in the body, which assists a man with his vitality, his energy, his strength, and his libido. So while we joke and we laugh and, we have a good time about the libido part of it, I want to make sure that the guys understand that this is not a blue pill, okay? This is not a blue pill. A game is here to address your overall health. Libido is just a fourth of that. The vitality, the energy, and the strength is just as important as the libido part of it. Because you need that, vitality, you need that mental energy and the ability to really focus in order to do all sorts of things that you're doing throughout the day, whether that's work, whether that's a hobby, whether that's, participating in your community, whatever the case may be, whatever you find yourself actually doing, A game is here to help you be that much better as you do it and to perform better as you do it. So in order to become part of the A game family, all you got to do is click the link at the top of the chat, agameherbal.com. Please don't forget the 10% discount using the code Kendra10 and have this box of awesomeness delivered to you ASAP, okay? So we're going to go back through the rest of the timeline of Mr. Brett Favre, and everybody still wants to refer to him to the legendary quarterback. Like, don't nobody care. We don't care about him being no legendary quarterback. We don't care nothing about him being no Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't care how many touchdowns he threw. Because when black men do stuff, they throw away their whole life previous to it. Nobody's going to recognize Ime Udoka's good coaching and leadership. Now that this scandal done broke, everybody gonna forget about the Celtics season turning around. R. Kelly got convicted. Nobody's now going to have no Lifetime Achievement Award ceremony for his music. Ain't nobody gonna separate his personal things that he had going on from the musical genius that he is. Ain't nobody gonna do that. Because when black men do something, whatever it might be, he loses his humanity. He becomes a monster. And everything that he did prior to that becomes of no consequence. So we ain't gonna never hear no verses with R. Kelly. We ain't gonna never tune in to no award show where they cover the last 20, almost 30 years of music that he contributed as a performer and as a producer. All that anybody can say now about R. Kelly is to bring up his legal things and the fact that he got convicted. And this isn't an endorsement of him, but you know, we gotta call a thing a thing. He may be wrong for what he did, but I dare you to say Step in the Name of Love ain't no bop. This is what I'm talking about. They tried to do Michael Jackson like that. Put all them scandals on him about kids. Then you know that's one of the most heinous things you can say about anybody. Is that they was messing with some kids. And they couldn't pin him with it. They could not pin Mike with that. And they got mad because people all across the world still love Michael and his music. So it wasn't even all about the American market. He didn't even need the American market to survive. All he had to do was tour Europe and all that kind of stuff. And then people lined up in the millions falling out when he hit that stage. He ain't missed the beat. Threw Bill Cosby under the bus. I can go on and on and on. Now we supposed to forget about his contribution to entertainment. We supposed to forget that Bill Cosby is America's dad. We supposed to forget about the Cosby Show. We supposed to forget about Fat Albert. We supposed to forget about the positive imagery that he was responsible for putting out there. We supposed to forget that. Because some women somewhere claim he touched them 50,000 years ago in the Cretaceous period. Thank you, Torian. Thank you so much, Torian. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Torian said, when a black man messes up one time, he done. When PC mess up, they can maintain their legacy and will have a crowd to defend it. Look at Dahmer. They gave him a legacy, and he is one of the most notorious serial killers of the 20th century. Exactly. He had a whole fan base. They keep their humanity, no matter how monstrous. So many black men, I can go up and down history, made so many wonderful contributions to whatever field or profession they was in. And if they get caught up one time, whether it's true or not, it don't have to be true. It don't matter if it's true or false. And their whole legacy just go away. It just go away. Nobody can say nothing about it. They still don't slander Elvis Presley. They still refer to him as the king. He was having sex with his cousins and everything. Drug addict, had done got fat. He was an alcoholic. And they'll still rewind them tapes back, baby. Talking about, look at him. Stealing all his moves from Chuck Berry and everybody else that was black. Wanted to throw Martin Luther King Jr. under the bus. Man gave his life. And you had B. Simone, a whole nobody, getting on some platform somewhere talking about, well, he cheated. He ain't cheat on you. And you don't even know if that's true or not. And even if it is, Coretta stayed with him, so if she wasn't mad, you shut up. She kept his last name and everything. She didn't change. She was Coretta Scott King. Okay? You can't be no more upset about it than the wife. If indeed there was anything going on. And that's that man's personal business anyway. You don't have nothing to do with it. That ain't took away from nothing that he did in the civil rights movement. Thank you, R1993 said they hate heterosexual black men. The goal is to wipe out our society. The fact we have so many problems, but people are rock asleep in our community. Exactly. Elvis was running around here marrying underage girls. Married her. Nobody said a word. Turned her, oh, just Priscilla Presley. I just bet. All them white rock legends and all that kind of stuff. No matter how old they get. No matter how scandalous. No matter what story come out about them, they still, he was a rock legend and all that. Man, get out of here with that. We're going to go back to this timeline, y'all. But before I do, I owe y'all something. Bam, 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 bam. You got to hit the like button. Bam, bam. You got to I really be trying to remember that like button song, y'all. We have 411 awesome people that have hit the like button. Let's see if we can get the other 400 to hit it. Let's go back to this timeline because we are not done dragging Brett Favre. We are dragging Brett Favre today. So we got this group right here. Let's go back here. October 2017, funding for the volleyball facility begins using federal dollars. New commits $5 million to Southern Mississippi Athletic Foundation to rent all athletic facilities in a 5-year lease agreement. Because TAMP funds weren't permitted to be used for brick and mortar construction, the parties craft an agreement to satisfy federal law. As part of the deal, the foundation would use a facility called a wellness center for programs to help needy families. One former employee said the facility was never used for that. The $5 million commitment is the biggest known single expenditure within the misspent $77 million. News MCEC pays the first lump sum of $2.5 million to USM in November, with another $2.5 million to follow in December. Favre was paid under an agreement to advertise for the welfare program $500,000 in 2017 and $600,000 in June of 2018, with that money expected to go towards the volleyball project. You see what this is all about? June 2018, construction begins. Construction begins on a new volleyball facility known as the Wellness Center, initially projected as a $6 million project. So do you see how they twist words and they put little stuff in your paperwork so that later on, these things don't necessarily raise a red flag in the beginning? If you call it a wellness center, well, by golly gee, that's what a TAMF program is supposed to be supporting. Wellness centers for the community, for people to get help, but it's not a wellness center, is it? November 2018, Favre advises biomedical startup executive to reach out to Governor Bryant. So this is how they start networking. Favre, who became involved with the biomedical startup called Prevacus in 2014, advised the company's founder, Jacob Van Landingham, to reach out to Governor Bryant via text for support. Favre wrote, "Don't know if legal or not, but we need to cut him in. AKA, we don't care if it's legal or not, contact him." Later texts show that Bryant used his political clout to help get the startup off the ground by finding investors and gaining favor with federal regulators, and was offered stock upon his departure from the governor position in 2020. Bryant denies ever accepting the stock. Right. Out of $135 million in federal aid from the TAMF program in 2018, Mississippi spent just 5% on direct cash assistance to poor families. In the same year, Human Services gave $44 million of those funds to MCEC and another nonprofit. Now they'll sit there, these people just leeching off the system. Wow. Because what they'll do is say the entire block amount as if that's all going to the people that are in need. But we can see what they do with it. These are not the only people doing this. I bet you it's a group of people doing this in all 50 states. January 2019, Favre looks for more funding and strikes deal with Nancy New for Prevacus. Still needing more money to finish the volleyball center, Favre reached out hoping to meet with Davis and Bryant about more funding. In a separate meeting with Van Landingham, Favre and New, the parties, agreed to direct grant funding to Prevacus toward its development of an anti-concussion treatment. A payment of $7,500,000 was sent to Prevacus on January the 18th, though a $1.7 million contract between MCEC and Prevacus wasn't signed until the next day. June 2019, John Davis retires as Director of Human Services, forced out behind the scenes. Davis, the director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, who directed money to Nancy New, retires early after 28 years with the agency. I just bet he did. Behind the scenes, he'd been ousted by Governor Bryant after a Human Services employee came forward with a tip about suspected fraud. See, they started throwing each other under the bus then. Bryant appointed former FBI Special Agent in charge, Christopher Freeze, to take Davis's place. When Favre inquired how Davis's departure might impact the volleyball facility, Bryant texts back, "I will handle that. Long story, but had to make a change. But I will call Nancy and see what it will take." Summer of 2019, volleyball facility still a topic in text messages. A text exchange from Bryant to New. "Just left Brett Favre. Can we help him with his project? We should meet soon to see how I can make sure we keep our projects on course." In August, a text exchange suggests new volleyball facility could even be named after Bryant. Bryant has denied steering funds illegally to the project. So, you see how I'm just going to read the titles. September of 2019, New and MCEC given more money shortly after meeting with Favre. November 2019, a new governor is elected, Tate Reeves. January 2020, Favre identified as a driving force behind a volleyball venue, and Bryant seemingly prepared to invest in Prevacus. So they still doing it. They ain't worried about it. They ain't worried about getting caught. This is Governor Phil Bryant, him right here. In February 2020, state auditor announces charges of conspiracy. So now it's starting to break down about February 2020. Okay? State Auditor Shad White announces that former Director of Human Services John Davis and nonprofit officials conspired to embezzle millions of dollars meant for services to poor Mississippians. Davis and colleague Latimer Smith are arrested, as are MCEC employees Nancy New, Zach New, and Ann McGrew, the employees who were directing federal money inappropriately, as well as retired pro wrestler Brett DiBiase, who is the son of Ted DiBiase. Okay, the battle of the Bretts. Who gonna steal the most? Okay? The first half of 2020 is focused on Favre accelerates. Now, this has been going on since 2020. They have been keeping this hush-hush for 2 years. In October 2021, Favre repays money to the state of Mississippi. Favre repays the state of Mississippi the rest of the money, but still owes $228,000 in interest in an as yet unpaid cost. Favre reiterates on Facebook that he would never take money for no-show appearances. Right. April 2022, Zach and Nancy New reach plea agreement, turning over phone records. Zach New admits in a plea agreement to defrauding the government when he participated in a scheme to disguise the brick and mortar construction of the volleyball facility as a lease. So they're getting caught up. May 2022, Favre sued by the state of Mississippi. Favre is sued by the Mississippi Human Services Department in an attempt to recoup $3.1 million from Favre, including payments made to Prevacus. In July 2022, attorney fired after digging into involvement of USM, Favre, and Bryant. September, text unearthed, providing insight into Favre's communication with officials. Okay? So I wanted to get done with that timeline. We have to understand when we are being distracted, when we are being fed something in an attempt to divert our attention away from other things that really are our business. The Jackson, Mississippi water crisis is everybody's business. Not Ime Udoka and who he slept with or who he didn't sleep with. Brett Favre being involved in a scheme where millions of dollars are being stolen from the poorest in Mississippi is everybody's business. See, so we can't get caught up trying to drag yet another black man for doing something immoral and then let Brett Favre live. Let him live. He gets to, just kind of fly under the radar and nobody really say nothing. I'm sorry, I think I missed 39 Dina. Thank you so much for your contribution, sweetheart. So these are the kinds of things that we have to look out for. The reprogramming and the reassertion to keep us squabbling, throw us a bone, keep us squabbling about nonsense. Because we could get into, the Democrats this, the Republicans this, but the Democrats look stupid. They looking stupid from the mayor of Jackson to Stacey Abrams to Joe Biden in the White House. But they don't want us to talk about that. That's not tea. Because black women are only allowed to sip tea. We're not allowed to become aware and abreast of the things that's happening in our communities that affect us the most. This is why it's so imperative that we understand concepts such as biology, culture, and environment, and the confluence of those three that we call bioculturon. We have to be able to understand those concepts intimately so that we can know when they're being used against us. Because when one messes up, it inevitably messes up the others. The water crisis in Jackson is an environmental failure that is affecting people biologically. The culture changes when I don't have potable water in a first world country where we're supposed to have indoor plumbing and water filtration plantations. Just a quick timeline so we can take a look at the Jackson water issue. They started this timeline from 1888, y'all. It's a private water company owned Jackson's water supply in 1888. 67 years after its founding in 1821, a private company begins distributing water in the city. The city of Jackson Private buys out private company in 1908. In 1914, the construction of J.H. Farewell provides treated water to the citizens of Jackson. In the late 1980s, construction of the O.B. Curtis treatment plant begins. That's in the 80s. Jackson elects its first black mayor in the late 1980s. Harvey Johnson Jr. became the first black mayor of Jackson. Okay? The 1990s saw a dramatic change in Jackson's racial makeup. According to the 2000 U.S. Census, nearly 35,000 white residents fled from the city from 1990 to 2000, so that's a decade. The white population dropped dramatically while the black population continued to rise, okay? White residents took their tax dollars to the surrounding bedroom communities. Between 2000 and 2020, the population of Madison and Rankin counties grew by 35,000 and 42,000 respectively. In 2006, modern membrane filtration system built onto the O.B. Curtis plant. The O.B. Curtis plant began as a conventional system, but went on to also install a modern membrane filtration system in 2006. In 2015, Mayor Tony Yarber declared state of emergency over failing infrastructure. This is 2015. Mayor Tony Yarber declared a state of emergency due to rough roads filled with potholes and multiple water main breaks. The Jackson City Council did not approve Yarber's proposal. In 2021, a winter storm hits Jackson. The city of Jackson experienced below freezing temperatures, including approximately 4 inches of snow and 2 inches of sleet in a winter storm that began on Valentine's Day of 2021. The freezing temperatures created a maelstrom of issues for the capital city. Chief among them was the frozen slush of the Ross Barnett Reservoir, where the O.B. Curtis plant filters water from. This caused frozen plant equipment, including the raw water screens and over 80 water main breaks throughout the city. In February and March of 2021, Jackson residents go weeks without water. So this is not the first water crisis in Jackson. The city of Jackson experienced below freezing temperatures, including approximately 2 inches of sleet in a winter storm that began Valentine's Day 2021. Okay? And it's sort of the same information. So they went through a water crisis because of the weather in early 2021. In March, setbacks at the O.B. Curtis plant. So they're not fixing it. Okay? Raw water screens were not operating properly as a result of debris blocking the flow of water. Plant technicians had to build pressure back up, which meant that the week's earlier gains were for naught, and some Jackson residents who did gain some water pressure went back to experiencing low or no water pressure. In 2021, there was an electrical fire at O.B. Curtis plant. In September 1st of 2022, half the tanks at O.B. Curtis plant filled back up. Over half the tanks on the surface system have began to fill back up. Operators have the plant assessment and have begun working on initial projects to increase the stability. September 3rd, this is just earlier this month, anhydrous ammonia tank leak. So they tried to repair that. This is patchwork. Are we getting this? September the 4th, O.B. Curtis water output reaches 90 psi. September the 5th, MEMA closes 3 distribution sites. Due to water output stabilization at the O.B. Curtis plant, the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency began the process of closing 3 of our distribution sites. September 6th, they opened the schools again. September 15th, current Jackson water crisis comes to an end, which we don't believe. And the reason why we don't believe that is because currently there are videos just recently made within the last few days where Jackson residents are like, no, our water's still black. The water's still black. So what is anybody talking about? It's not over. Over how? Over when? What'd you fix? What'd you do? Because everything that I read in that timeline is patchwork. Doesn't deal with the underlying issues of the infrastructure and how nobody maintained it to keep it from this kind of trouble. I wonder if the residents of Jackson, Mississippi think that the water crisis is over. We needed today to drag Brett Favre. That's what I really wanted to do. And yes, this is environmental, which ends up as biological warfare. Because you're depriving a population of people from something so simple as potable running water and the availability of that water. In a first world country like America, it's worse than a third world country where you got to walk 5-10 miles to get to the well and hope it ain't dry today. There are some third world countries that rely on their nearby rivers and stuff like that, and it's not clean. But they got to drink that water, and they got to bathe in it, and they got to let their animals drink it. Same water. And they'll sit and tell you that that water crisis is over. Just lies. Lies. Because if that water crisis was over, they'd have blasted it. They'd have put it all everywhere. Like they putting Ime Udoka's bedroom business everywhere. We know all about that. But we don't know when and how and where the Jackson, Mississippi water crisis ended. Y'all got to get out of here with that. Anyway, before we cut out of here, I want to draw everybody's attention. We are just a few, it is less than 100 signatures away from 7,500 signatures for the petition we have against Black Lives Matter as an organization. Please, if you have not signed the petition yet, and you want to become part of us holding Black Lives Matter accountable, please click the link, sign your name, share it over your social media, and contribute to the petition. I would love if my mods would go ahead and put the link to the petition in the chat room for everyone to make it easy for them to sign. I want to thank everyone for coming through here, for their contributions through Super Chat, through Cash App, and through PayPal, and your likes and just your participation, and for you just hanging out with me today and letting this week start off awesomely. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank our support team, without which we cannot bring you this much needed information and content. So I want to thank everybody sincerely once again. We're going to wrap this up, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.